Hello everybody, welcome back to the Food and Drink Chronicles, and today you guys are in for a special treat. So for all you beer lovers, we're here at Prost Alehouse in Pflugerville, Texas, and we're going to do a really quick beer tour. Let's do this. Alright, so we're here with Kevin, the head brewmaster, and we're about to take a tour of the brewery right now.
We sure are.
You ready? Come on.
First off, about the space, obviously it's skinnier than really you expect. So it's an old historic building here in downtown Pflugerville. I believe it was being used for stuff like a car repair shop, and that's what you see, this little old school lift. I'll get to it, but it's a bigger system than you would expect on somewhere this size. This comes with some benefits and some cons that I'll definitely talk about, but like everything else, beer starts here in the meal room. So barley, let me see, I think I have some here. So everything else, everything comes to us in the form of two-row and barley. This is unmilled. So this will run it through our two-roll mill. So what will happen is basically we don't want this husks. What we want is inside this little white part right here called starch, or the endosperm. That's what has really our nice sugars that we want for beer. After the now rolled barley, we'll go through our disc chain. There's a couple different types of really ways to get barley into your brew house, but this chain is one of the most gentle on barley, so that's why we like to do it. I'll go back here, which will bring us to our brew house. If you see here, so this is actually Uncle Billy's old brewing system. For reference, this is a 20-barrel brew house. What that means is we can make 620 gallons at a time per batch, which is a whole lot of pints. Especially, like I said, for a size like this, normally, again, for reference, you'll see anywhere from maybe 3.5, 5, maybe up to 7 barrels for a brew pub this size. We don't distribute, we don't serve anywhere else. We really just keep all our beers here. It just gives us the best amount of control to make sure that every single pint is perfect. So basically the process will start here. This is what's called a mash tun. Basically barley meets, in our case, water here at specific temperatures for a specific amount of times and on a very specific pH. pH has a huge influence on when making beer. Some of you may know if you homebrew, that is going to change really the color of your beer. Most of the color obviously is going to come from the barley, but your pH is going to influence all that too. Obviously the temperature, that will dictate what enzymes are being released and what types of sugars are being made into what will be called wort. Wort is basically beer before it ferments. It'll meet here. Like I said, this will mix in well. We will get all the sugars that we need from the barley here. At the bottom of these, we have these screens. They basically go right on there. This will keep the barley for making it through, and it will just make sure we have, just like I said, that nice clear wort as a base of our sugar to kind of keep going. So then we'll go over to our boil kettle / whirlpool. BK, brew kettle, WP, whirlpool. Basically the whirlpool part of it, I'll explain a bit later, but it's just making sure all those solids are collected and dumped after our boil. So for our boils, we'll boil anywhere from 60 minutes to 2-3 hours. I've done really on like big, beefy, massive stouts, I've done like overnight boils and just to get it nice and thick. But basically the boil, all it does is it precipitates all those sugars, obviously sterilizes beer, Fun fact, that's why really beer, especially back in those medieval times, was healthier to drink than water, because it is boiled, so all the bad bacteria is out of it. And third, barley is sweet by nature. Really what balances that has always been the case, has been hops. Hops are known to be bitter, but like I said, when it comes to beer, they provide balance. So here's what we'll add our hops, and this will change depending on if we're making a crazy hoppy IPA or just a Pilsner. Hops at boiling temperatures will actually be isomerized, and they will create and pull those alpha acids that we need. So that'll happen here. Then, like I said, we'll whirlpool. Basically, all we're doing is spinning it really fast. All those solids go to the middle, and then they'll stay there. That way, when we push off into our tanks, we're just getting nice clear wort. So which is where that happens now. So this is called a heat exchanger. Most of you probably have that on your homes, knowing it or not. Basically, it's a ton of, this is a 40 plate, so very skinny plates that wort runs through one way. So we send very cold water the other way, so that surface contact basically will cool down the wort as it goes through. Really, it goes from boiling temperatures down to fermentation temperatures, anywhere from 48 to up to 68, 66 degrees for our ales. Which brings us to our cellar. So this is really where the magic happens. I like to say that a brewer only creates sugar water, really yeast makes beer. We are very mindful what happens on this side, because again, really beer is created here. We have 4 20-barrel fermenters. Again, for reference, 620 gallons on these, 3.5 barrels on those, which is maybe like almost 100 gallons at a time on these. So again, I mentioned that our brew house is pretty big for our size. Well, that's where these guys comes in, because basically with one brew of these, if we wanted to, we could fill up all of these all at once. I'll definitely play around with split batches. So basically, I can brew the same wort in, pitch different yeast, and that could be the only change of the beer. And then I kind of see, oh, what works, this works. So it's a fun little experimentation part of it all. Obviously, it always gets sold. It always mix it up there, but it makes it good for me to know when then I need to brew a bigger batch and go on. Again, these are uni tanks. The whole process can be done on these, though we have brings us to the best room in the brewery, depending on who you ask, but will be our cooler, the beer cave, if you will. So this is where our serving tanks go. These are always full of beer. So if for some reason I didn't keg these out, they will go into the serving tanks, and that's where carbonation will come into place. I don't know if you ever tasted a Coke when it's flat. It's not quite the same. So beer needs that carbonation also to kind of bring everything out. Try to really use the least amount of enzymes, least amount of outside ingredients as we can. Prost, going to the whole German theme. We definitely live by that and adhere by that. So we trap the CO2 that comes from fermentation. Fermentation has 2 main ingredients that are being laid out that yeast creates, and that is ethanol, alcohol, and CO2. So that's what you'll see if you come this way. So this is active fermentation right there. That is beautiful. That is straight CO2 just being let out. If you were so basically what will happen is at a certain point, we always are measuring how many sugars are left, how much of activity yeast has done on these. Basically, we'll get to a certain point, and I will just trap the CO2 like that. What's happening now is that all that CO2 is just being trapped into the beer. and when you get it cold again, all that CO2 will be trapped by the beer. Based on that, we know we have our formulas and calculations that we use. Based on that, we'll know, okay, how carbonated do I want this beer? How early do I need to trap it? In this case, I will open this again, just because CO2 is not the only byproduct. There's a couple different other compounds being released, sulfur being the big one. And if you open a can of beer and you just get maybe a little stinky, almost like rotten egg, that's sulfur. And that's usually not flavor. That's not something necessarily you want in all the beers. It adds a certain element to most lagers, but you don't necessarily want like a huge bomb of that. So that's what we don't really trap it very early on, kind of at the late part of the stage process. This is, don't get me wrong, beer is pretty cool, but I love our taproom.
Oh, it's a beautiful taproom.
It's well designed. I think I like just the vibe that kind of has. I like that we kept a lot of the historical part of the building alive and well, just kind of a backdrop to all the industrial stuff that you put on. So Troy, our owner, is hugely into cars racing, Formula One, and you probably maybe already mentioned this, but a lot of this conduit work is beautifully done, and that's the Austin track up there. Usually gets a couple stairs. You just see people kind of just like looking up.
What is all this?
Yeah, yep, I get it. It takes a couple times for sure. So we did everything. We milled, we brewed, we fermented, we transferred, we carbonated. Really the only thing that's left is to drink and pint. I am going to go with Checo, our Mexican lager here. A little bit of corn, nice and crisp. Perfect for the times. So that's when everything comes in too perfectly. That's what that looks like. So, Prost.
Prost.
Yeah, I'll keep this one. That's good.
Baltic Porter? Prost.
Prost.
You said that's a Baltic Porter, so called a Solar Corona. It's smooth like a chocolate cookie.
Yeah, you know.
It is like a chocolate cookie. I mean, you can eat like cookies with this.
Oh yeah,
it's really
definitely,
good.
Dip some Oreos on it. And, yeah, adult style Oreos. Yeah.
Put some ice cream in it.
Yeah.
Have a little beer float.
That would make a good beer float. Agreed. Especially I think the nitro version. That would be pretty good.
That'd be awesome.
Boom.
Thank you, sir.
Of course.
So Kevin got us some brews to take home. We got the Schwartz beer, and I think, yeah, it's actually the Finish Line is what it's called. And Celeste got the Hefeweizen. So these are really good. So special thanks to Kevin for letting us come out here and check out this brewery and check out his passion. This is really awesome. Prost Alehouse Brewery is a really great addition to the Pflugerville area. We love it here. So, but yeah, catch out some more videos. We'll check out later. Food and Drink Chronicles out.